I want to start off by prefacing that the community reception to Season 4 in general has been outstanding. I don't think I've seen this much positive talk about Multiversus in a long time. It was really surprising to a lot of people when Multiversus got nominated for fighting game, like potentially fighting game of the year. Do I think that they'll win? They got some strong contenders against them like Tekken 8 and Marvel vs. Capcom Legacy Collection and stuff like that. But regardless, it, started creating another interesting talking point of like, okay, how is Multiversus now? Has it changed? Where is Multiversus now in Season 4? I'd like to just give a little recap, a little bit of history lesson, just so people can like understand where we're coming from and how the game is trending, right? I think that it's pretty obvious to a lot of people that when the game first launched, it launched as a flop, right? A lot of people were excited to get back into the game. It hit some of the highest numbers it's ever hit in its entire release, before the beta, anything, right? But a few factors such as the speed and a lot of the balance decisions and just how broken and buggy a lot of the characters were really turned off a lot of people. But I'd like to go ahead and clarify that the game has come a long way. I think you will consistently see people talking on like Twitter and stuff like that about how bad the game is or how bad these new changes are for the game. But in reality, I think that all the changes they've been doing have been progressively making the game better and better. You guys probably already know, like the first one I'm gonna mention, teching. A lot of people hated automatic teching. It was really buggy. Like when it first released, people would just straight up die from teching, and the concept of an automatic tech instead of like a manual tech was really stupid to a lot of people. I think Multiversus was kind of pinned into a tough position because a lot of their combos in the game had relied around the idea of extending the combo with a ground bounce. Teching in general had its problems. I think anyone can agree to that. But with each iteration, each season, each patch, they've been improving it and improving it, improving it. From consistency issues, increasing the tech distance to hopefully avoid loops. I think changes to jabs and general defensive gameplay has also been an improvement. Adding the priority system, I think, improved a lot of the general gameplay. And also making dodges a little bit more committal if you don't actually dodge something. They've been adding a lot of different ways to make the gameplay less defensive, more aggressive, and faster in general, right? And trying to patch up a lot of the more toxic and annoying things to deal with in the game. Basically, what I wanted to say, Season 1 through 3 has been trending in a positive direction. It might be slower than a lot of people like, but it is trending positively. So let's step into leading up to Season 4. Whenever Season 4 was announced, it was announced with two highly anticipated characters, Raven and Marcaline. This was pretty groundbreaking because ordinarily these seasons had a bad habit of launching with a character that everyone wanted at the beginning of the season, and then something that felt a little bit more like either a cash grab or them just throwing in like an IP to throw in. I know a lot of people, whenever Season 2 dropped, they're like, yes, Samurai Jack, everyone, there was a large part of the community that wanted Samurai Jack, and then Beetlejuice got added. I'm not saying people didn't want Beetlejuice. People, there's definitely people who requested Beetlejuice, but with the release of the movie coming out, it's definitely felt like more of a plug than anything else. And then the next season came out, the Powerpuff Girls came out, another very highly requested group of characters, and then Nubia dropped. I don't really think Nubia was like a plug or anything like that, but it wasn't a character that people had expected or a one that was very highly requested. In general, Multiversus had been following this trend of a highly requested character and then an okay character. So whenever Raven and Marceline got announced, it was big. The internet exploded, essentially. Not only that, Player First Games in general has been teasing speed improvements and balance changes all up to the lead up of Season 4. Tony himself was getting on saying this is going to be one of the biggest seasons ever. There was a lot of stuff that had been really hyped up, really built up, and a lot of people were really, really excited. now that we've like recapped everything leading up to season 4, let's go ahead and talk about my overall impression and the community's overall impression of season 4 as a whole. Overall, season 4 has been a extremely well-regarded season thus far. This is probably the most positive feedback and discussion I've seen from the game in a long time. And a big part of that is the addition of short hops and faster fast falling. Overall, the game does feel faster, but it doesn't really feel nearly as floaty. It doesn't feel like you're stuck in the air for nearly as long. It feels faster, basically. But what does RPS think of season 4 thus far? I'm a little disappointed. Let's go over all the things that season 4 has added, some of the good things, some of the bad things, and we'll just cover it all. First things first, Raven, super cool, really fun, has a lot of depth to her, has a lot of really interesting moves that are very fun to use, very fun to combo off of. Feels really strong too, maybe even a little too strong. She has like some pretty well-defined weaknesses, like for example, she cannot deal with armor. Like she legitimately has like 2 options to deal with armor, and one of them is like a command grab that she only has access to on the ground that's like kind of slow on startup. She definitely has some weaknesses here and there, and her moves are a little slower on startup in comparison to the rest of the cast. But at the same time, she has some broken stuff too. Like her Sair just kills super early. Like if you don't have armor, I genuinely don't know what you're supposed to do against her Nair. It's like a super disjointed combo starter that's super fast and really difficult to actually whiff punish. Like the answer is like either you parry it or you dodge out of the way and just reset back to neutral. She's got a lot of really strong moves. She might be a little too strong, but I don't want to say anything yet. It's like the beginning of the season. You know, I don't think she's like overly dominant. I don't get into a game and be like, oh my god, it's Raven, we lose now, right? But she does feel quite strong indeed. And I don't know if she's gonna get better or worse over time, but it is she feels a little strong. I'll just say that. Another big thing that wasn't really mentioned in a lot of the lead up to the game or lead up to season 4 is that they actively made a lot of drastic changes to some of the general perks. They still haven't really made any big changes to signature perks, but a lot of the general perks either got reworked or removed from the game or buffed or nerfed in substantial ways. For example, they took out Weaken from the game on all but like 2 characters, basically. On top of that, things like the respawn with armor for like 4 seconds got removed from the game. They very briefly added a perk that made it so that whenever you dodged a projectile, you got armor, but was very quickly removed for being what I can imagine is just too broken. One perk that wasn't even in the patch notes that it got axed was a perk that whenever you parried a projectile would reflect it. Completely gone from the game, completely removed. So it looks like they're actively making huge changes to the perk system, so that gives me hope that perks are something that they're keeping their eye on and they want to make more interesting, which is another complaint that a lot of people had. The addition of Arena, super fun. I love Arena mode. The first night I tried doing it on stream, it didn't really work too well. I'm guessing because the servers were a little newer, and you know the menus were kind of slow, and there was a lot of lever bots. Basically, anytime I got into a match, it wasn't uncommon for half of the lobby to be like lever bots by 2/3 into the match. There's definitely a few things that are a little disappointing about arena mode. One of the bigger things is I think that the perk choices for arena mode are a little bland, but at the same time, I think the concept of arena mode is really fun. Going in, essentially like getting a very small select pool of characters that you can choose from and having fun with like trying out new characters, new builds, each game being different is something that I would really like to see explored more too. I think that some of the legendary perks are very interesting. I think having like, you know, an equipable batarang that you can just throw, the bigger they are perk is very interesting. Some of the stat perks are interesting too. I think gold suit can be pretty interesting. I kind of wish the game felt like it had more variety, especially in the early game. But it kind of just felt like every game was all right, I'm gonna get I do more damage and I have more defense and I'm gonna heal more, and then my fourth slot can either be even more damage or I guess getting the bigger they are perk. And that was like literally every game. For a game that I feel like was advertised as every game feels different and you can try out new builds with different characters and what builds work with certain characters and what builds don't. Like, I feel like that concept is really interesting and really, really fun. And I've had fun playing Arena. I want to make that clear, but I think that, you know, the menus need work. I think that some of the smaller interactions, like for example, at the very beginning, you can pick random for extra coins to start out with. I kind of dislike that whenever you hit random, you're stuck on one character. I kind of wish that when you hit the random button, you got a different character every round, because getting stuck on a character that you don't like is pretty annoying, you know? Like, for example, if I see like a long list of characters and the only character I don't want to play is Finn, and I hit random, I'm stuck on Finn for like 30 minutes or so. And that's like one of the other big things about Arena that I have a lot of complaints about. I think that Arena takes way, way, way too long. For a fun game mode that I just want to like boot up and like have fun with, I don't want to have to sit there for like 30 minutes, right? I don't know if you want to fix that by making people take more damage or making it so that if a team has 2 lever bots on it, the team is just disqualified. That'd help out a lot, I think. I think we have a good amount of time in between rounds right now, but I think that there's probably too many rounds. The length of Arena needs to be like sped up. The damage that you deal needs to be more, and I think that especially if you have like a strong lead, we don't need to like drag out a game, right? Like, if I'm so stacked and my build's so broken, and I've had matches where we'll literally take like 7 stocks uncontested, but each stock you take, the issue is that it does less and less damage to their overall health. I'm gonna be so for real. If I take 7 stocks off your team and you don't take a single stock off me, you deserve to lose. You're done. You should be eliminated, basically. If you lose that hard, you know, it should be over for you. There's a lot of like little issues I have with Arena mode, but overall the concept's very fun, and I'm glad that this is a really interesting new game mode that they are looking to add into the game. Another thing that was added in season 4 of Multiversus that has gotten a lot of, you know, positive feedback is short hops and fast falls. A lot of people will say that this made the game so much more fun. People have been saying things like, I can't stop playing Multiversus after the speed changes. But I'm gonna keep it a buck with you guys. I don't feel that much faster. I don't feel that much different. Maybe it's because I play Jason or like a slower character in general. But for me personally, I was kind of disappointed to hear like consistently from like Ajax and Multiversus as a whole, like keep getting teased over and over and over again that, oh, we're speeding up the gameplay, the game's gonna get faster. Like, oh my god, there was like one tweet from Ajax that just had me livid, bro. Essentially, he like was responding to like a Flash MVS tweet where it was just a clip of him like schmooving on Jason, and Ajax responded like, but could you schmoove better if Jason was a little faster? And I was so hyped. I was like, oh my god, they really are gonna make every character faster. But then I got to the patch notes and I noticed that only a select few characters actually got a speed increase. You could argue that what he was referring to here was the addition to faster fast falling and short hops, right? I think that's, you know, the general consensus, what he was probably talking about. But it was pretty disappointing that whenever I booted up the patch notes and read over them, I have a video where you can see my entire reaction. Whenever I looked over the characters that actually got a speed increase, it was exclusively the characters that were already really annoying to catch. It was like characters like Rain Dog, characters like Gizmo, characters like LeBron James, these like Morty, like these zoners that are already super annoying to get your hands on because you have to like jump through like 5 million hoops of projectiles to actually like get to them. They buffed their speed just to make them even more annoying to run away from. There was a few characters that didn't really have that problem, there was a few characters that got speed buffs that didn't really have that problem. Like, for example, Finn ended up getting a speed buff, even though I think he's also quite annoying to catch because, you know, it's really annoying to get in on him whenever he's swinging his humongous sword. And like Nubia also got a speed buff, so it wasn't entirely the annoying characters, but like 90% of the characters who got a speed buff were characters that were already like annoying to catch and annoying to fight. And it was really disappointing to me personally, especially after getting teased with something like Jason's getting faster, right? Because if they make Jason faster, my thought process was they were making everyone faster. Just to reiterate one more time, I know they were probably just referring to the fast fall speed and the short hops. I know. But I think that a lot of people were really, really eager to see the gameplay speed up a little bit more. I know that people are really happy with the fast falls and the short hops and whatnot, but I don't even really think they all like do that much for the gameplay. I think they make the game feel tighter and it feel less floaty, and that's like what a lot of people want for the game, right? They want the game to feel less floaty. They want it to feel tighter, but I don't think they really do anything for the actual gameplay yet. I don't think they do anything for the actual gameplay yet. Now, why do I say yet? I say yet because they've been working in testing grounds with the shield mechanic. Now, shield has been a concept that people are very, very back and forth from. Some people love the idea that they're adding shields into the game, and some people hate the idea that they're adding shields into the game or thinking about adding shields into the game. They've been putting out surveys, they've been doing a lot of research, trying it out. They've been putting out you can try it out in the testing grounds, you can try it out in like training mode, see how you feel about it. I think overall, shields will help the game a ton. And honestly, I was a little disappointed they didn't launch season 4 with shield. The big reason why I'm a big advocate for shields is there's so many little pain points about the game that are very easily fixed by them adding shields. One of the most annoying things about Multiversus is knowing that someone's going to do a move and not being able to do anything about it. And there's so many characters like that. There's so many characters that are nigh impossible to actually whiff punish. And in order to whiff punish, you have to resort to some of the worst parts of the game, which is jab versus dodging through their attack and just whiff punishing with jab, right? And a lot of people hate that. There's so many issues that just arise because they don't have a shield. But by adding shields, you can start punishing things like the Wonder Woman there. You can start punishing things like jabs. Like, I don't know if you guys seen the tweet from Bands, but Bands tried out shields in, the testing grounds, and he was very surprised to see that you can't cancel attacks on shield, not even jab. So because of that, you can start punishing the more annoying things to deal with in Multiversus, like jabs. If someone jabs your shield, you get a real out of shield punish. If Wonder Woman nairs on your shield, you get a real out of shield punish. If Shaggy kicks your shield, if you react, block his side B, you get a real genuine punish. There's so many attacks in this game that you could know with 100% accuracy that they're going to do this move right now. You're fighting Banana Guard, right? What is he gonna do? You know what he's gonna do. You know he's gonna run at you with Nair. You know he's gonna run at you with Sarah and like literally do nothing else. He's just gonna turn his brain off and hit his like attack stick towards you and just like eat glue while he does it. But you can't do anything about it because trying to whip punish Banana Guard doing that is like almost impossible. Let me clarify. It's not almost impossible, but it requires a much more specific read than it is necessary, right? And you have to be way, way, way out of the way in order to actually punish something like that. Like, in order for me to punish Banana Guard running at me with Nair and Sayer, I have to basically double jump up to ensure that I am out of the way of Banana Guard like doing that. And then I have to read whether he's gonna full drift forward, so I double jump back so I can down air him, or if he's gonna like drift forward with Sayer and then stop in place. Like, there's so many like little reads that you have to make in order to punish something so unbelievably simple. And it just makes the game really, really annoying. And shields help remedy a lot of these issues. I know a lot of people are very scared of Multiversus losing their identity or, becoming just more and more like Smash, but I really don't think shields are that hill to die on. I think that Multiversus has way more interesting things that make it unique in regards to other platform fighters, with the most unique thing being that it's balanced for 2v2s instead of 1v1s. That's like the #1 reason to play Multiversus. Not to mention that they have other really unique things like cooldowns, and they allow characters to have like really broken moves because of cooldowns. They have so many unique things in Multiversus that I don't think shields like being added is the hill we need to die on. I think it could help the game in extreme ways. I think it could patch up so much about the game. There's like a misconception about shields because a lot of people are like, oh my god, they're adding shields but they're not adding grabs. This game, this game is cooked. We have no way to deal with shields. And I feel like they're ignoring the fact that they're adding a universal shield break mechanic that essentially functions just like grab, like literally 1-to-1 with grab, in the sense that you can only do it on the ground and it breaks shields and gives you true combos. It's technically not a grab, but only visually. It functions in the exact same ways a grab would otherwise. I was really excited to see shields in Season 4. I personally hope that they add shields officially in Season 4 in the 0.5 mid-season update. But at the same time, I know that they probably won't do that because they want to preserve rank, right? It would feel really, really weird to have ranked be like essentially two very different modes, right? Like no shields and shields, right? Do they actually care? They might not. They might just add shields at Season 4.5. But I have a feeling that they're gonna hesitate because they're scared of people being upset that their rank is essentially for a different game. Before we mention Fighters Road, I'll briefly touch on the hitbox overhaul. I think people like it overall, but it still needs a little work. I mean, that's to be expected. They're not gonna fix all the hitboxes overnight, right? We're still gonna find some degenerate stuff, and it's on us to like report it so that they can fix it and improve the game like as time goes on. Let's talk about Fighters Road, because this is probably the #1 worst thing about Season 4 by far. Fighters Road is pretty much worse than Fighters Currency in every conceivable way possible. For one, you can't pick the fighters that you unlock at all. You might be able to pick from like a selection of 3 in some tiers. The fact that you have to unlock characters before you get to the character that you actually want is a huge flaw. The other big thing is that you can't save up for future fighters. For example, like if I have all the characters, which I do, and Raven is about to come out, and I'm excited. With fighter currency, I can say like I can keep playing the game, and I'll have enough fighter currency by the time Raven comes out to actually get her. With Fighters Road, you can't start making progress towards new characters until they come out. I think that if they replaced the play this character early thing that they do and replace it with this, I don't think it would be that bad, but it's so annoying to not even be able to make progress to a character that you won't be able to play for like multiple days. If they were just removed one or the other, I think it wouldn't be that bad. I think they should remove both, but I understand that they want money, right? Let's be 100% real. Both of these tactics are because they're trying to pressure people into buying the character. I know it's like shitty for the consumer, and it's definitely not ideal, but at the same time, they can't just be giving things away for free all the time, right? Especially since they're already $100 million down, right? I'm sure that they're really like panicking, trying to find any way that they can like reasonably try to get people to actually like put money into the game. A lot of people were hoping that Fighters Road would be a new way of getting fighters easier, because a big complaint was that getting fighters was really hard for newer players. So seeing this made a lot of people quite upset. But that's not to say that the addition of Fighters Road was all bad. There was 2 things regarding getting characters that were improved with Season 4. One of the big things is that they did finally add the ability to buy all the characters at a discount. If you own more characters, the discount's higher and higher. that's very, very nice. It gives people an option to, you know, just pay a lump sum of money and be able to play any of the characters that they want. Another good thing is that characters were no longer locked behind the battle pass. Characters were locked behind the battle pass for literally months. Powerpuff Girls, Jason, Samurai Jack, if you didn't get the battle pass for that season, you had to wait until next season to actually buy them from the fighter store. Now, I do think that you can have both. I think that you can have the character tier 1 in the battle pass, but also be available in their fighter store. I think that a lot of people were kind of upset that they didn't get to play Raven on day 1 like they have been able to with the other battle pass characters. Obviously they changed out with a skin for Raven, which is nice, but I think that there is something nice about just getting a character for free with the battle pass, quote unquote. Just don't lock them behind it, you know? I think that's the big issue a lot of people took with it. Lastly, in regards to characters in general, I think that Arena gives you a good chance to play characters that you don't own. I think that that's one of the big things that Arena is very, very good at. Being able to like give you random characters allows you to try a lot of the roster. Especially if you don't have a lot of the characters, you can use Arena mode to start to like do your quests, or, you know, try out new characters that you might vaguely be interested in like an actual game. I think that does a lot for the community as well. I think the last thing I'll talk about is the balance. I think that balance, debatably, is the best it's ever been. Debatably. And the reason I say that is that Powerpuff Girls is still like touch of deathing you. I think that there are a few characters that, you know, feel pretty weak right now. Samurai Jack in particular, I think feels quite weak. I think that you can play almost every character in the game now with, you know, some like variants of success. I don't think that there's a character who I would call weak in this game, aside from Samurai Jack. But at the same time, I wouldn't say that there's any character that I would say is broken or over the top anymore, with the exception of Powerpuff Girls. So, conclusion, is the game going to stay online? I'm not a Warner brother. I can't give you the 100% yes or no, but I think it will. I think the game has a really good chance right now to continue getting better and better and like continue growing more and more. And I think that while Warner Brothers has indeed put a lot of money into the game, $100 million as the report had said, there's factors for Warner Brothers that make Multiversus really, really good to keep around that aren't as noticeable through like sales directly. And one of the big things is marketing. I think that being able to have a large enough fighting game is inherently going to give you the ability to make your IPs more relevant, to keep them relevant and fresh. If you guys like look at Super Smash Brothers, like almost any game dev would be jubilated to have their character in Super Smash Brothers, because that means that their game's gonna have more relevance. It's gonna reach more people. It's gonna it's like an additional way to advertise, but you get the idea. It's like an additional way to keep their IPs relevant and advertise, which I think that Warner Brothers probably acknowledges, right? Even if the literal return on investment from the product itself isn't all that. I should also mention that the numbers of Multiversus in general are okay. They're not bad. They're not bad. A lot of people doom because, you know, there's not nowhere near the numbers that the game officially launched with. But in comparison to games like Guilty Gear Strive, Rivals of Aether 2, and a few others, the numbers for the game are quite good, I would say. You could argue that it's because it's free to play, or that because it's on like all the consoles and stuff like that. And you know, that's true. That's true. There's a lot of reasons for why Multiversus numbers are doing well. It is still important to recognize that having a consistent like 3K players it's not irrelevant. That's like pretty relevant in in the field of fighting games. It's no Fortnite, but fighting games have never been a Fortnite or anything like that. Let's wrap it up with what I would like to see going forward for Season 4.5, Season 5, just onward entirely. The first thing is shields, of course. I already went over it a ton, but I got my fingers crossed that they add shields in the mid-season. I don't think they will, because they'll probably want to save a large gameplay development for the new season, just so it doesn't affect rank too much. I personally would really like to see shields added in Multiversus. Secondly is a universal speed increase. It was so upsetting to me that all of the characters who got an actual speed increase, like a legitimate speed stat increase, were all the characters that were already really, really annoying to fight. I think that really hurts the feel and enjoyment of the game. I want to see more drastic adjustments to perks. I think they've already started off by reworking perks and adjusting the numbers, changing how mechanics work in general. I want to see more of that. Perks in general, very, very underutilized, and I think most people agree. I want to see better methods for acquiring characters. Honestly, get rid of Fighter's Road. Legit get rid of Fighter's Road. Bring back fighter currency, and I guess just make fighter currency easier to get. I already thought it was quite easy, but if, you know, the general public, the general community thinks it's like still too difficult to get, then just make adjustments to make it feel a little bit better. Just make each game give you so and so amount of fighter currency until it feels good enough for, you know, like a free-to-play player. If it's like a complaint that you're seeing a lot, then it's probably something you need adjustments on, right? Local tournament support. I haven't mentioned this. Right now, it is almost impossible to host locals for this game. Part of it is suffering from success. There's a lot of online tournaments that are free to enter with large prize pools for Multiversus. And because their online is so good, there's not a lot of reason for people to actually show up to tournaments at all, which is quite upsetting for someone who wants to start building a grassroots community. I think that Rivals 2 also has this issue, but Rivals themselves are giving away like skins to like skin codes to local tournaments in order to help people get out and go to those local tournaments. That could be something like, even if it's just a shirt, right? Even if it's just a shirt skin for a character of their choice, I think that would go a long way in helping motivate people to actually go out to tournaments. I think Rivals 2 had the right idea, and I think that's something we want to take inspiration from. And lastly is please communicate more player first games, or don't be misleading. Like I said, I was like really upset when they were teasing speed increases, and I mean, I guess they weren't lying necessarily with the fast fall speed increase, but for me personally, I was just kind of expecting and hoping that there'd be a little bit more. Even to like other pro players that help run the game, they're really bad at communicating with. I don't know if you guys know, but Void put out a video where he talked about an experience with player first games where he was invited to like talk with them at TwitchCon and talk about the game. And then after Void had got his hotel, drove over there, and, pretty much basically the day before they were supposed to meet up and talk about the game, he got like an email from Player First Games saying like, hey, actually we're not doing that, sorry. And that is not okay. You can't be leading on like some of your most prominent community members like that and like sullying like their faith in the game. But I think that about wraps up everything for everything I want to talk about with Season 4 of Multiversus. Once again, I think there's a lot that Season 4 does really well, but at the same time, we got to be honest and critique the stuff that could be a little bit better so that we have a solid direction for the game going forward.